Hi, I'm Norm Wilkinson from Influential Sales Consulting. I'm the CEO, and what I want to do in these sessions is really provide some short podcasts designed for LinkedIn where I share some of my experiences over the last 40 years, particularly for tech startups and founders. These are really just snippets designed to give you some insights into key topics that I know challenge founders in early stage companies in the tech arena. And today's session is about high touch versus low touch selling. Which of these is required depends largely on what type of product you're selling and the market you're aiming at and the price tag you put on it. So let's start with low touch and what is that about? This is a valid model if the product fits the market and if the product is something that can be usually purchased by a user rather than a buyer, then it's a low touch approach. So it's something where the price tag is such it can be easily bought online through a subscription. Payment is automatic, through credit card, Apple Pay, what have you. And founders are usually attracted to this because it represents a low cost approach. You don't need sales resource to do it. It's automated process and it's kind of attractive because of that. It requires little education in its use, something you can handle with maybe an online video or two, something like that. So it's not, something you need to engage with necessarily. And a free trial can be available through the pricing plans, but it's all self-service and it means you've got a very short buying cycle. But it's effectively a commodity purchase, and I don't want to do down products that do very well online because some of them have a lot of value. In my own case, I've purchased things like Grammarly, Microsoft 365, QuickBooks, McAfee, Shopify, all those things I subscribe to online. And they are, significant value to me. So let's not belittle that. But it's an approach that lends itself to these types of products. And it relies on inbound marketing to transact. Customers come to you. This is the idea behind low touch. So you don't need people involved in making calls out, all this sort of thing. Customers come to you. These inbound channels are mainly your website or social media advertising. So SEO on the website and page positions in Google becomes critical because you need to be found by the customer. So low touch. The advantages are it can enable you to scale rapidly. It's a low acquisition cost. There's no sales force to invest in. And expansion globally becomes easier than it otherwise would be. The challenges, however, are really around revenue. It's typically much lower revenue per client. You need high volume sales really to make money from this kind of approach. And there's a high risk of churn. So there's no customer loyalty. They're not glued to you because of the relationship. There is none. It's really down to the value of the product and whether today they want to continue using it. So you keep the users really by having a good product. A great user interface really helps. It needs to be very intuitive because there's no help that you're providing. Okay. So conversely, high touch. This is really where the price tag of your product is not really suited to an online purchase and only can really be purchased by a professional buyer rather than a user. For example, I personally subscribe to QuickBooks and I pay $40 a month, but I'll never spend £20,000 online. That just doesn't happen. So products of this size and value usually require some kind of POC, consultative selling approach and connection with humans in the relationship, because there are contract negotiations to be had, multiple stakeholders to handle in this complex sales scenario. It's far more complex, so an online sale just wouldn't work in this scenario. To give you some silly examples, companies like SAP, ServiceNow, Oracle, these guys never sell online because their value is just huge. And I'm ex-IBM and I can tell you our stuff was never sold online for that reason. It requires really a long buying cycle on behalf of the client. It needs high levels of interaction and often relationship development is really key. So sales cycles are quite long. It relies on outbound marketing, which means that you have to go to them. You have to reach out to your clients to draw them in, to have the one-to-one conversations. This is where the client interaction really begins, the relationship begins. So it's a whole different ballgame. So the advantage are, however, higher value transactions, most definitely. You build client relationships. So there's a loyalty thing going on here for good retention in the long term of these clients. So follow-on business potential is really good. The challenges are, however, sales cycles can be really long. Not just days or weeks, but months, sometimes even longer. At IBM, typically, you'd be lucky if it was 9 months for a software sale to an enterprise. But you need selling resources to do this, highly skilled selling people to be able to do this. It's slow to scale, and you really need founder involvement right from the beginning. So, why is it important? Well, tech founders usually want to go for the low touch approach, high volume, because it's cheap. They don't have to invest in people and marketing and all that sort of stuff. It appears to be the fastest route to revenue. But the market is not yet tested, and your offering may actually not be suited to it. And does your price really reflect its true value? Decide where you want to start from the beginning, even if it's not your long-term goal. And just to give you an example, in my own personal experience, working with a company where in the beginning there was no sales force, it was tech startup right from roots. Seemed to be sensible to go online, so we were following the syndrome. Thought we could sell online, put the pricing on the website, subscription plans developed, all that sort of stuff, online contracts, as you would expect. However, our inbound was really poor. The website really wasn't up to it. The SEO was missing by and large, and we just weren't attracting enough people to the site to win business this way. But on top of that, the pricing was quite complex. It was a tiered pricing model, and customers really just didn't understand it. It wasn't simple at all. The product was complex. A customer demanded trials before they would commit to purchasing. It needs a lot of people interaction. And deals were negotiated face-to-face. Contracts were sometimes even bespoke. So we realized eventually that this just wasn't the right model. It was a false start. We changed to a high-touch approach through necessity, and our outbound outreach became the de facto. So sales is now hands-on. The website and our social channels are really now just for awareness, definitely not for transactions. So we found the right model in the end, but it costs time, and startups have short runways. So what would we recommend? Start with high-touch approach. How so? Why? Well, you really need to discover the real customer problem. You have to engage with people to do this. Find out what their pains are. Validate their willingness to pay for what you think you're asking. Help them to refine your pricing. Are we in the right ballpark? Is it the right market for us? Build case studies and get references in your first customers. This is an important thing for your marketing going forward, whichever method you choose. So trying to automate sales before understanding your customer often leads to a lot of interest, but very few sales. So don't try and scale the process until you've proven what the buying process really is. And let's say the first 10 customers should almost certainly give you enough information to provide the direction for you going forward. Once a repeatable process emerges, elements can be found that can be automated and productized if that's appropriate. You only get so many chances. So, happy to have a conversation to elaborate more about this, because it's really important that you make the right step from the beginning. You don't have a false start. So ask me questions online. I'm happy to respond to them all personally. Stay tuned for our next sessions. There's a lot more coming. And I hope these snippets help you, like this one, going forward, to help you kind of build a little portfolio for your business about the things I'm going to be faced with as a founder of a tech startup. And these are ideas about how I might face those challenges. So thanks for listening. There's more to come. Good luck for now, good selling, and we'll see you next time.